Hi, Alverno colleagues. It's Desiree Pointer-Mace from Education. I'm coming to you today as a colleague, mentor, and Moodle-Vangelist to talk to you about my experiences in engaging in the Moodle pilot this semester, what I think it affords my teaching as well as my students' learning, and to reach out to you as an invitation to see if there are any other things that you have questions about. This is, of course, ED 216, that's Technology, Leadership, and Education. One of the nice things about it is that the technology learning that we've engaged in as part of this pilot is part of the outcomes of the course, learning to learn about technology. That's, of course, not true for every course, but I think that what I'm seeing is that my students have had really rapid uptake of how to use this system. I think there are some things that I'm doing that is helping with that, but overall, I'm sold. I think this is really allowing me to arrange my teaching in ways that work for me. I'm using a format in the settings for Moodle that's called collapsed topics. There are various options here. You can have a weekly format. I'm not using a weekly format. I'm using collapsed topics, but interestingly, I am naming those topics weeks. So I have a weekly seminar, and in each of these collapsed topics, I'm able to identify what are the key outcomes for that week, as well as to highlight some of the weeks in which we're meeting online. I think that what this does for me is it provides on one page a pretty quick overview of our course schedule. Each of these can then be expanded so that I can collect all of the documents that I use, the assignments that are due, and so on, in one place. I teach from Moodle in class, and so I tend to organize, let's say, what our focus is going to be, what are the key ideas, what are the assignments that are due, what are the in-class resources I'm going to use, what are our activities we're going to engage in. And then every week I try to use those same headings. I'm changing whether or not something is indented so that my students can fairly easily find things. So I think that that's a choice that we can all make in our use of Moodle, and I would encourage you to think about that, because I think that the more you can identify for students what is where, you've got a lot of control, but you have to, with great power comes great responsibility, and I think to the extent that you can frame how you've organized this visually, it's going to enhance your students' ability to find things. It works differently for me than how I'd used Educator. The way I used Educator was more like a fairly explicit filing system and assignment mechanism. So this, I think, is more akin to drawing together my resources for a class experience in one place, and then being able to go back and forth from that when I'm in class. My students also, if they miss a class, they know exactly where things are. I've seen other colleagues who've used this and have organized it by type of thing that they do in class, assignments, resources, and so on. Perfectly fine. I've chosen to do it chronologically. So again, as you go through, I'm using different kinds of assignments. I have times when they're turning in they're uploading files, sometimes when they're typing in text directly into Moodle, sometimes when we've done chats, sometimes when we've done check-ins, just sort of thumbs up, thumbs down, have you done this week, polling. I try to use engaging visuals. Part of, again, the outcomes of this class include innovative use of technology. So just because there's a lot of bells and whistles in this particular site, remember that it's because of the nature of the course. That said, if there are any things in here that you're curious about, I'm happy to teach about them. And I find that the students are finding this a very intuitive site, and also it's very easy to edit. So if I turn editing on over here in the upper right, you can see that these little icons here appear, and they're everywhere. So if I wanted to change this focus here, focus learning to learn together, I can do so by just changing. This is actually, I'm using Safari. Never mind. I would recommend that you use Firefox in your use of Moodle, because it actually represents things and shows them differently. One of the things that we'll all have in common is on the left-hand sidebar, there will be blocks, that's some Moodle lingo, of elements that are common to all of our courses. and on the right are blocks that you can control. So I've created a block here for video tutorials where I'm doing Camtasia tours like this one for my students if they have questions about something. And that's what I want to leave you with, actually. If there are things that you have particular questions about that you'd like me to do video tutorials around, please let me know. I'm happy to do it. And I'm enthusiastic about this switch. I think you're going to like it just as much as I have. So thanks very much.